The Dallas Cowboys have made a shocking roster move as they released a fan favorite wide receiver. We talk about the release and why the 2023 draft class continues to look bleak for the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome to Cowboys Digest, everybody. I'm Jace Andrews. I appreciate you hanging out with us here today on the show. If you're looking for daily Cowboys coverage, we got you right here on Cowboys Digest. So go down there, hit that subscribe button. It's 100% free. Let's talk about the latest roster move the Cowboys have made. Nick Harris has the report saying, quote, the Cowboys have reached an injury settlement/release with wide receiver Jaylen Brooks. The 2023 7th-round pick played in 22 games and hauled in 36 receptions for 241 yards and 1 touchdown. And to go even further, just Mazi Smith, Luke Schoonmaker, and DeMarvion Overshown remain from the 2023 draft class. This is an interesting release, but it was something that I think had to happen, and we're going to kind of talk about it here on today's show. So let's first start with Jaylen Brooks and kind of why this release was made. First of all, this guy had not played since 2024. He appeared one game this year technically, but ended up not doing anything in it. After a couple of roster moves, he was sectioned off to the practice squad, had some knee issues, and ultimately, obviously, we know that he has now been officially released in an injury settlement. So what does this mean for the Cowboys? What does this mean for Jaylen Brooks? Well, let's go to Essential Sports talking about this report, saying, quote, a knee injury resulted in Brooks being moved to the practice squad. As part of his contract, he would receive a guaranteed amount of $82,356, which was the same as his signing bonus. Continue on here to say, now with the injury settlement, he expects to receive his annual salary of $234,000 along with a payout. This decision benefits both parties as the Cowboys can focus more on their active roster, while Brooks, being a free agent, can look to build his future somewhere else. Brooks had a lot of the good intangibles, a South Carolina product, a guy that a lot of fans liked, but ultimately he never really did enough, I think is the right word, because last year he appeared in 14 games, he had 12 receptions for 177 yards, his average yards per catch being 14.8 was fantastic, and he had a touchdown. But this year it's a little different. You add in the fact that you have George Pickens. You add in the fact that Javonte Turpin has taken over in that wide receiver 3 role. And you talk about some of the guys on this roster that has performed better this season. And, I mean, forget performed better, just performed in general. The knee injury, for as unfortunate as it may be, is sometimes a detriment to players, especially when you talk about kind of the intangibles of a roster that has had so many injuries and a roster that wide receiver wise is in a very good spot. This leads me to a bigger cause and a bigger kind of, I'm going to call it an issue. The 2023 draft class for the Dallas Cowboys may have been one of the most unfortunate. I'm not going to call it bad. Just because for the simple fact that all these guys were scouted properly, all these guys were called quote-unquote steals in the draft, they just haven't panned out for one reason or another, and Brooks was a part of that. Brooks was a big reason, and kind of to end off the top on Brooks and kind of talking about him, he never fit in and felt like. It seemed like you liked what you got from him. He had great intangibles. You liked his height. You liked his size. But it never looked like he was going to be a great wide receiver in the NFL. When you're a 7th-round pick, you don't expect to be great in the NFL, or at least a lot of teams don't expect you to, but the Cowboys had high hopes. The Cowboys liked what they got in his pick, and yet now he's released, and a large part of it is probably due to that knee injury, because you have enough wide receivers, he's not going to play. The waste of kind of a roster spot was a big thing. And like I said, it's beneficial to both sides because you have that option to where he's a free agent. He can go out. He can go find a new job and do something to kind of fill that void, whereas the Cowboys here, they don't have to worry about paying him. They don't have to worry about any of that sort of stuff. Let's talk about the 2023 NFL draft class, though, for the Dallas Cowboys, because it's one to forget. If we go back to this tweet here, you can see that Mazi Smith, Luke Schoonmaker, and DeMarvion Overshown are the only 3 players that remain from that draft class. Lucky for you, that's your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round pick. However, if we go further than this, where's Deuce Vaughn? Jaylen Brooks is gone. Sam Richards got traded. Where's Eric Scott Jr.? They're all gone. I mean, Awesome Richards at least got traded. Something there. Deuce Vaughn, I mean, it was a great feel-good pick, but at the end of the day, I don't know that anybody ever expected for that to be the, top-tier pick it was, or expected to be a top-tier pick. But my problem is this. Those three guys that are left, Mazi Smith, Luke Shoemaker, DeMarvion Overshown, what's happening with them? Let's start with Mazi Smith. We know that he was talked about being traded this offseason. They've changed him from a 1-tech, 2-tech, 3-tech, however we want to go with the defensive line. He's changed the way that's been approached and has been adjusted for so many different times. And now he has a 51.2 PFF grade, but there's not enough snaps for him to actually be ranked amongst defensive linemen. He has 72 snaps in 2025. 2 pressures. Your first round pick from 2 years ago. Not good. Not good whatsoever. But maybe it's all right. Maybe Luke Shoemaker, because that was a highly touted pick. He was a great tight end at Michigan. Honestly, a lot of the NFL thought that he was going to be a very good presence in the National Football League. But this year he's played in 4 games. And that's largely in part to Jake Ferguson being great. I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, yeah, Jake Ferguson, like Luke Shoemaker isn't getting the snaps because he's not good enough. No, Luke Shoemaker isn't getting the snaps because, first of all, the Cowboys like Brevin Spanford for his blocking purposes and a lot of different of his intangibles. And they also like Jake Ferguson for obvious reasons. So in that case scenario, you're not going to play Luke Shoemaker that much. 4 games this year. Or that's Mazi Smith, excuse me. But if we go to Shoemaker, we can find the stats. There it is. 7 games this season, 5 receptions for 24 yards, a 4.8 average. Not what you expect from your tight end. Now, I do like DeMarvion Overshown. I do think that he is somebody who will eventually be the best draft pick from that draft for the Cowboys and maybe the best third-round pick in that 2023 draft. But injuries have been real tough for him. Luckily, we got this report yesterday. Both Siobhan Roll Jr. and DeMarvion Overshown, they're also both back on the field. They both have that knee brace. We know that their knees both got torn up. Funny enough, it's their opposite knees. Like it's DeMarvion's right knee and it's Siobhan's left knee. Kind of an interesting part about that, but yeah, you look back at this draft class, and now with the release of Jaylen Brooks, the bad part about this is that Jaylen Brooks was your 7th round pick, and until obviously today, he was the only guy from round 3 on that you still had on your roster in any sense of the imagination, whether it be practice squad, regular roster, whatever. Not exactly what you want to see. Not exactly what you want to see. But the news of the day, he has been released with an injury settlement. Hopefully we're going to get DeMarvion Overshown back. I think he is a guy who can legitimately change this defense. So like I said, he comes back, he performs to the level that we expect. Maybe I'll be forgiven, or at least be a little bit less of a worry knowing that draft class was such an abysmal one. However, Mazi Smith and Luke Shoemaker do not look like they're going to be doing too much. So curious what happens with Shoemaker and Smith, but for now I wait on DeMarvion, hope that he will be in a good spot. I'm excited to see him in the 2025 NFL season. That's all we got for you here today on Cowboys Digest. We hope you have a wonderful Saturday here, getting ready for the game tomorrow against the Denver Broncos. We'll talk to you in tomorrow as we'll kind of look at that game and have a report on it as well. We'll see you next time here on Cowboys Digest, everybody. Peace out.